Perfecto.
Perfecto.
Right in the center. Is it going? Oh,
Yeah.
Are you deleting all that?
What?
Are you gonna edit all that?
What, you talking and asking questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll edit it out. Make everything. Hey everybody, welcome back to Twisted Pines. Today is the 1 year review, the real deal on the John Deere 3025E with the 300E loader and the Armstrong mini grapple. Those that follow my channel know me. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to tell it like it is. And I normally am critical of everything, but I really have to tell you, after 1 year of real use, and I'm not talking about just cutting some grass and, you know, moving some brush and limbs. I'm talking about real use. I have used this tractor to the fullest extent of its capabilities. I have picked up logs, you know, 1,500, 2,000 pounds. I have moved brush piles. If you look behind me, you might have seen from some of my earlier videos, there used to be a big pile of wood right here. This is where the house is going to be. And it was at one time probably 25 feet high in the middle. This tractor did it all. I didn't hire nobody to come in. I burned that pile and moved it with this tractor. None of it was burnt right there, just a little bit of it. And then we figured out we couldn't burn it all right there because it's full of dirt too. And I plucked it with this tractor, pulling from it nonstop and putting it right here and burning it here. We're talking big pieces of wood. You've seen some of the earlier videos, cutting, moving. Let me tell you some of the reasons why I went with this tractor and not one smaller and not one bigger. You can buy a 10, 25, 28, 32, 38, or a 20, 25, 28, 32, or 38. And I looked at those, but they were just a little too small for what I needed to do. They didn't have the ground clearance. I needed some ground clearance because some of the areas I get into is really muddy, and some of the trails that we cut through is really muddy, and I didn't want to be high centered on too many things. So the 10 series and the 2 series was just a little too small. The 4 series and the 5, I have family members that have bigger tractors, and they were just too big. They couldn't. You can see I have woods. I like to get in between the trees. This tractor was just the right size, not too small and not too big. So you really have to think about what you're doing when you're getting your tractor. And that's what I did with this one. I wanted something that had some real lifting power and something that had some ground clearance. Had to be 4-wheel drive. As you can see, this tractor works in mud a lot of the time, most of the time. And it's plucking wood out of mud. So it's not only is it having to get traction in mud, have ground clearance in mud, it also has to have the power to be able to grab something out of a stack of wood and wrangle it out of it. And that's what this tractor's done. Time and time again, it has amazed me how well it does for this size tractor. That grapple weighs 400 pounds. The tractor is supposed to have a 1,200 pound lifting capacity at the pin to maximum height. Now we all know that means at lower heights it could probably lift more, and it does. It has lifted. I bet I've lifted 2,000 pounds with this off the ground. That's, you know, curling the grapple. If you ever used a hydrostat transmission and a bucket or anything, you know that if you just pull up to something and grab it and try to lift it, it might not lift it very well, but if you kind of give it that hydrostat in the transmission, it gives it a little more pressure, and that'll lift it a little more. That's a little trick you'll learn as you operate. If you're trying to lift something, you can't get it up, you touch that hydrostat and kind of move it a little bit forward or back, it'll lift it up a little more. Somewhere in there, it just gives it more lifting capacity. That grapple will bite. It's got the 3rd function valve. I always recommend that everyone get a grapple, get a third function, have it put in and use it. Grapples to me has been the best attachment. If you've already got cleared land and you've already got everything, you know, you're always going to have stuff to pick up. But if you haven't got a lot, grapple may not be the best thing for you. But if you've got raw land and you're really doing work or you're clearing, best attachment ever. Now I have a 25. It's a 30-25, only 25 horsepower. And some people say, well, why didn't you get the 32 or the 38, the higher horsepower? I didn't have no need. Everything I've wanted to do, this thing has done it. It's run the rotary cutter. It has box bladed. It fills that box up. If you've got enough power to fill your box blade up, and this is a 72-inch box blade, if you have enough power to fill it up and still move dirt, you've got enough power to do everything you need to do. This tractor in 4-wheel drive low will fill that box blade up completely with dirt and keep on going. So I don't need any more power. My rotary cutter is a 60-inch, 25 horsepower, cruising along. I've cut with it, never slowed it down. I don't need any more power. Now, that's not to say some of y'all might. If you've got maybe you're drilling lots of holes with a 3-point auger, or you've got a stump grinder or something you need a lot of power for, you might have a need for it. Me, for my circumstances, the money, the power, the attachments, everything worked out perfect for the 25. I don't have to deal with any of that regen or any of that stuff. This is a 2018 model. I bought it at the end of 2018. We worked all of 2019, and this far into 20. It's got 110 hours on it. It's had its first service done, and again, I can't think of a complaint. I don't want to say I've abused it, but I have really worked it to death. The front end on it, this thing has pushed trees, dug trees, done everything. Branches, the only thing I've ever done, I'll show you. Let me camera and show you this. If you look right in here, you can see that is all bent up. That's because I had a limb come through and catch on it. That's on the back side of that bar, but you still have to be careful with that. The front grill has got a dent or two in it from sticks hitting it, but the steering arms are on the back side, and that's important when you're clearing and cutting stuff with the grapple and digging, because you don't want to get those bent up. Another key feature that's made it great is the hydraulics for the steering are on the back side of the axle. Now if you're running through the woods, tearing stuff up with a grapple, cutting a trail, you're going to have sticks and limbs and everything coming up that are going to be hitting the undercarriage and hitting right against this right there. And if that steering is in the front, it's hitting the steering, and you don't want that. Now on this Armstrong grapple, you can see it has been used. It's been in the fire, it's done everything. And the only thing you can see on all these tines on the bottom, they're reinforced and they are all straight and solid. And the only thing is on the front, on the top, you can see these tines are all pretty straight. I got one little tine right here. I don't know what I got him on. Got him just a little bit bent. But everything else is solid, straight. So after 1 year of real use, solid use, I have no complaints on my John Deere 3025E and the grapple. No complaints with the box blade. Everything works flawlessly. 1 year later, a real 110 hours of hard use. non-stop. Just it didn't get any light duty work out of 110 hours, and it still just cranks up every time, keeps on going. I also want to talk about the hydraulics. If you don't think this has enough oomph, it definitely does. You really got to be careful with this tractor in the regards that the hydraulics will actually lift the whole back end up. A lot of places I have to maneuver in. I can't have the box blade on the back, and that helps tremendously, having the box blade on, but you can't maneuver in some places. I'll show some videos of me out there cleaning by the pond. You got to be able to maneuver in between trees, and the box blade is just too big. So you got to make sure your rear tires are filled with water, or whatever your local John Deere's filling them with. Make sure they're filled, because that adds a lot of ballast to the back. If you have a ballast box, put that on there as well. You can lift it all the way high, and it'll only take off a couple of feet of your maneuvering ability. But this thing has enough lifting power that it'll actually lift the back end up off the ground when you're picking up. That's how much power it has. So if you're still wondering if it's underpowered, it has plenty. It actually has the same lifting capacity as the 28, 32, and 38. They're all the same lifting capacity. They're the same tractor, size-wise, height-wise. The transmission is the same. The pulling power is the same. The only difference you're going to find in it is how much power you get out of the PTO. So pay attention to that when you're buying. If you're not going to need all that power at your PTO, the 25 might be good for you. It doesn't have any of the regen or any of that stuff on it. You put diesel in it, it stays running. Keep the oil changed when you're supposed to. It's a great tractor. Can't find nothing bad to say about it. John Deere 25E, the grapple, any implement you need, it'll run it. Hey, that's from Twisted Pines. Y'all take it easy. Have a good one.